Good morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast. I've got a fantastic guest for you today, Kim Butler. She's author and founder of Prosperity Thinkers, and she's called the Joan of Arc Crusader, separating financial fact from fiction, according to ireport.cnn.com, from financial services expert Steve Savon. So I'm really happy to have her on the show. She's a great fit for the audience, and I'm happy to introduce her. So, Kim, welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's so fun to be able to talk finances. It's a space that I've loved for over 30 years. And financial freedom is something that people can obtain. And it's not always monetary first. Sometimes it has to start in our thinking, which is why our company's called Prosperity Thinkers. But I'm trusting that today you and I can talk about that mindset, but also really get down to some very specific action steps that people can take.
Yeah, I love that. And briefly, I love getting each guest the background story. And you live a life of financial freedom. You can work remotely and help impact people. So, what got you started, and how? And we'll dive right into the conversation.
Absolutely. I really started in fourth grade when my parents bought me a milk cow. And so I milked the cow by hand. This was in Corvallis, Oregon. I sold the milk and literally created a business and had that all through till high school, raised enough money to be able to put myself through private college for 4 years and just always loved the monetary space. My parents are teachers. So I think that led me to become a natural teacher. And it is a environment that I've been working with ever since. I started early on with all the typical licenses and literally got all of them. And now I have none of them so that I truly can state the truth. As you said, separate out the fact from fiction. And holy cow, is there a lot of fiction in the financial space these days? And really get people very clear on the steps that they need to take to become first mentally financially free, because it's got to start up there. And then in actual terms, financial free with their dollars and the way that they live their lives.
Very powerful. And like I said, you're no stranger to the show. And a lot of times, the guests and we talk about this lack of financial education, and we're going in the wrong direction. And a lot of people struggle and live paycheck to paycheck. So my first question to you is, why don't we learn about financial literacy and financial freedom? Is it a conspiracy? The elites want to keep us in the dark? Talk about that.
I do believe it's a bit of a conspiracy, not necessarily from the elites, more from the financial institutions.
Hmm.
So I'll give you a quick example. Your typical mutual fund account, right? We all have them. And I'm not talking about money in a retirement plan, just after tax dollars that you put in, fill in the blank mutual fund. There is all of their messaging focused on building that account as big as possible, reinvesting the dividends and the capital gains. And frankly, we all know that they're making money off that, but we don't really know how much. And in the paperwork that you fill out is part of a solution for that particular account, which is to pay the dividends and the capital gains and any interest in cash. So you have a product, something that you buy, people buy the mutual funds, and then you have a strategy, which is what you do. Now, what the mutual fund company wants you to do is reinvest those dividends and capital gains all the time and just get that account bigger and bigger. But you can shift your strategy on the very paperwork that they provide you by paying those dividends and capital gains in cash and then getting that cash to go on and do other things in your life. Because if we step back and think about it, the financial institutions, it doesn't matter whether we're talking the mutual fund companies, the banks, the brokerage houses, mortgages, you name it, life insurance companies, you name it,
Mm.
they're in business to make money. And they have their strategy that they want you to do.
Mm.
But you as a consumer, as a producer, as a person trying to build your own financial environment, want to shift your strategy. It's the same product, and the very paperwork that you sign that product up with gives you the ability to shift your strategy and get better results for yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, I really love that. It's really interesting because I haven't, I believe that I haven't invested in a mutual fund since 2000 just because of the high fees and
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
you can do better in index funds just by the,
What's interesting is that it's the same strategy. Even in the index funds, you're better off paying those dividends and interest and capital gains out in cash and getting those dollars to go do other jobs because no financial institution does what they tell us to do, which is just put the money in there and leave it alone. The financial institutions, they utilize the movement of money or the velocity of money. They're moving those dollars around all the time.
mm,
And we know that water that is moving is healthy water. We know that blood that is moving is healthy blood. And yet we don't move our money. We let it just stack up in these accounts. We accumulate it
mm,
in the index fund, in the insurance policy, in the real estate deal. We want to accumulate it, but that's not the way to keep our money healthy.
mm. Yeah, really interesting. So and then we talked about this quote conspiracy and like I said, it's a very startling statistic. Over 90% of people don't trust the media or and just they don't trust government or institutions and just people lost faith. And the next question I have for you is given this kind of climate and it's basically our responsibility to step up and take charge of our education and our future. Obviously, our schools can't do that. And but what are some of the limiting beliefs, mindsets that are holding back? A lot of times the guests were saying money conversations happen at the table or with your parents or kind of talk about those types of mindsets.
Absolutely. One of our works is Prosperity Parents, and it's helping people have those dinner table conversations because we cannot trust that our schools are going to teach it. We cannot trust that the financial institutions are going to teach it because the little bit of financial literacy that it's out there does come from those financial institutions. And it's not that it's all bad. We can certainly learn some pieces, but as you said, we need to take responsibility for ourselves. And so inside our work with people, we help them learn how the financial institution looks at things so that they can look at things like those banks and brokerage houses and insurance companies do and make the same type of profit. So there are all types of dinner table conversations that can occur at various age appropriate levels. So if you have children today, we have specific things that we share with people from 0 to 5 and 6 to 9 and 10 to 15. And then that 16, 17, 18 space, which is so critical. Because if you think about it, we're not raising children,
Mm,
we're raising adults. And we want financially capable adults. And it's interesting, a lot of our material that is designed for younger kids, especially that maybe 7 to 8-year-old on up to the teens,
mm,
will have parents say, "Holy cow, I learned a lot myself. This was so helpful." So it's a fun space because it's solvable. We can absolutely build wealth with certainty.
mm,
We can build cash flow, which is really the best measurement of wealth, not net worth is not a good measurement of wealth, yet it's what most financial people do. What's interesting, just like there are thousands of books out and videos out and podcasts out about our health, our physical health, America is not healthy. And as we know, there's thousands of books and videos and podcasts about money, and yet America does not do a good job with their finances. So I think it really is important that each person find a messenger that they trust. So, like for a lot of physicians, it's yourself and stick with it because so many times we're just searching, we're reading and listening to all this stuff, and we just end up more confused. And that's not helpful because then we won't take action. A confused mind says no,
mm,
and we must take action. So, we want to be as clear as we can.
mhm. Yeah, really, really powerful. And again, our educational, our financial, our political, our healthcare system, our energy system is all broken. And hopefully, I will live to see a better world. And so, next question I have for you is you talked about books and you're trying to educate. You wrote the book, Busting the Life Insurance Lies. What are some people looking to take charge of their financial freedom, can they get started, and where should they start looking? What should they start doing?
I love to ask the question first, how do you learn best? So get clear for yourself and for each of your family members going to be different, right? So you and a spouse might learn differently. You and your adult children might learn differently. So get clear how you learn best, which is usually reading, watching, or listening. And then go seek material in those three modes of operation. So we have 11 books on Amazon. We have over 500 podcast episodes. We have many YouTube channels. And then the challenging one is those that learn best by getting their hands on things, right?
Right.
Because you and I deal with an intangible product, money. I know we can get our hands on dollar bills, but we actually created a little card game called Family Legacy. It's on our Prosperity Thinkers account, but it's a way for people to get their hands on the learning about money and go after that method, whatever serves you best to learn, so that you can start to make a difference with your finances. Because we have very specific suggestions that we make, strategies that people do, which again are the things that you do, products to buy, but the products are really all the same, right? And nobody's got a better mousetrap. The products are all the same. It's what you're doing with that product that makes a difference. And I can share some specific things as we progress here, yet helping people get clear on that and just helping them know that they have the ability to take charge of their own finances and make a difference, I think is a helpful space. And it's one that I love. I do not believe in retirement. I intend to help people with their finances until I literally cannot speak or write anymore.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me because my nephew, he's 11 years old and he's been starting to get curious about money. What is it? He thought it was like trading Pokemon cards, but it's just good that he's got an interest in what is it, how does it work, and how do you grow it, how do you save it, how do you invest it, how do you spend it. Next question I have for you is, you got the Truth Concepts software, and what is that? And you help your husband with improving the understanding of communication of financial strategies for advisors and their clients. What is that?
Truth Concepts is Todd Langford's software that has been around for over 30 years in a variety of consistently upgraded endeavors to tell the whole truth about all things in personal finance. So, as an example, one of the things that people always are debating about is a 15-year mortgage versus a 30-year mortgage. And the 30-year mortgage is the more efficient one. We always recommend that people get 30-year mortgages and do not prepay them. And there's so much language out there about the total amount of interest that you could save by taking on a 15-year mortgage. The fact is, the total amount of interest is just a fun fact. It's not relevant in the overall scheme of things as it relates to your finances. And the most efficient way to purchase a home or an investment property, a 30-year mortgage, obviously less for some commercial properties, but Todd's Truth Concept software enables us to prove that numerically and mathematically in every direction possible, no matter what you want to look at. And here's the critical part: it counts the gains. So, like the progress that you're making with whatever product it is, as well as the cost. And there are so many people and so many efforts in the software space where all you have are the gains counted and they're missing half of the equation. So it's Todd's baby. I just help. I use it personally. It is a space that works very well for financial advisors that want to have the whole truth in front of their clients' eyes.
Yeah.
We do have clients that purchase the software too. It's not super expensive. If somebody's super analytical, and that's another question I always like to ask people, are you conceptual or analytical? If somebody's pretty analytical and they really want to have something that enables them to do well in the personal financial space and tell the truth about the mortgages, the retirement plans, the life insurance space, the mutual funds, and what's going on with the fees, as you brought up, Truth Concepts is the way to get to that numerical, mathematical approach, which will help you understand the whole truth about whatever it is around your money individually, right? Like just the mortgage, just the retirement plan, but also holistically or from a panoramic standpoint, because we don't make financial decisions in a vacuum. We make a financial decision around our savings capability connected to our life insurance connected ability, connected to our mortgage ability, connected to our retirement. All of those things are all together.
Yeah, I love that. We have a couple minutes remaining and talk about a lot of people listening. A lot of them are getting started in their financial journeys, and a lot of them, more people are believing that financial freedom is a pipe dream, and it's getting worse with AI and robots gonna take over jobs. But so, can anybody do this, or do you have to have a MBA, or you have to go to a Ivy League, or you have to work on Wall Street? Allay the fears of the audience and tell them that anybody can do it.
Without a doubt, and I say this to somebody that has massive amounts of letters behind his name. You certainly bring to the table much experience, and as we know, you have experience in a particular industry. You have crossed over into also helping people with finance. Everybody needs that crossover, right? Every single person should have their main industry, their, if you will, God-given talent that they bring to the table, while also delving into the personal finance industry. And I would like to share a definition of financial freedom that I like to work with that may help people understand how they can get it. And it's being free to make decisions around your money so that it serves you best. I think a lot of people think financial freedom is, oh, I have endless amounts of money and I can do whatever I want. And that's certainly a definition, but that's a pretty big goal for a lot of people and a very long-term one. So to me, a better, shorter term, more achievable goal is being free to make financial decisions so that my money is serving me best. Because who am I to say that you should or shouldn't buy $5 coffee? Who am I to say that you should or shouldn't go on a trip with your family? That those types of things, each individual person should make those decisions. And they should be making them in light of their overall financial well-being. And gosh, there's so many ties to health. It's crazy. But just as we are wrapping up here, I will share a single specific thing that anybody can do. In fact, frankly, as soon as a person gets a job, which could be under 18 or maybe 22 when they're out of school or what have you, the single biggest thing that they can do is make sure that they have a separate account to deposit their income into. So most people, they earn money, they put it in their checking account, and consequently, it gets spent. And we know that budgeting does not work. It's why one of my books is Busting the Budgeting Lies, because there are millions of apps and programs out there that help people budget, but not one of those people is financially free. Why? It's because they don't save first. So we have a app and an account that drives that behavior, but it's super simple. Just stop putting your income in your checking account.
Yeah. It's interesting because like budgeting and saving, that's like the first step. That's just like bare entry. And then after that, it's you have to put it, you have to put into assets that outpace inflation or outpace tax rates and outpace to all these things that eat away at your wealth. But I love that. How can people find out more about prosperity thinkers and find you and connect with you and reach out to you and work with you?
prosperitythinkers.com is our main website. There's lots of goodies there. And I'm fairly active on the major social media channels. I have a YouTube channel and I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. And I love to put books out. So I'm on Amazon and I have another one coming out next year that's going to be called Busting the Scarcity Mindset. So we'll be providing a guide for prosperity thinking. And then, as I've indicated, there's the podcast and other things as well that are fairly easy to find. My podcast is the Prosperity Podcast. And yes, I do love the word prosperity.
Yeah, I love that. And again, it's all about language, and it's good to develop a really good, strong, positive emotional relationship with these types of concepts and words. And you were talking about mindset. And thanks so much for coming on and keep up the great work.
You're welcome. It was a joy talking with you today.